Hey folks, and welcome to another episode of Podcraft. This is the show all about helping you run a successful podcast. I'm Colin Gray from alitu.com and thepodcasthost.com. And joined by Matthew, as always. How are you getting on, Matthew?
Good morning. Yeah, it's usually a Wednesday we record. That's the morning I do the nursery walk. So I'm always just fresh off the school run. It's not really a school run if it's nursery. There's less pressure. You could be 3 minutes late and it's fine.
Yes.
Because I don't know if you'd get away with that at school. So
No. Well, you're not supposed to, at least.
Yeah.
But hey, primary school tends to be a bit more flexible. Yeah, I have to admit, I don't really miss that. I don't miss walking along in the dreich, rainy mornings, dark mornings as well this time of year, and helping the kids get to school. But yeah, ours make their own way these days.
I got called a horrible dad this morning because I had the sheer audacity to suggest that she might clean her teeth and wash her face. So it was a big old tantrum. She does it every morning, so I don't know what the issue was. But I said, am I a terrible dad? She went, no, you're a horrible dad. So, yeah, take that, Dad.
That's the thanks you get, Matthew. I mean, that's some big asks there, brushing your teeth. That's, yeah.
Yep.
That's not easy. Right, what are we digging into this week? We've got a few things, don't we? We've got... I've got a couple of tools to share. So a couple of tools I've been using to, if people are interested in doing a bit more video actually on a solo pod, I've been playing around with this. So I'll share those. You've got some data around video and audio actually as well that came out of our survey, didn't you? Our big IndiePod census. So let's dig into that as well, around some insights really into how long video and audio takes and why that might be as well. And then we've got a couple of other things. We've got some Black Friday discussions, offers there, haven't we? You've put together an article around some great Black Friday offers for people that might be spending money anyway. We don't want to encourage people to spend more than they would, but if you're spending it anyway, might as well get a deal. And then I've got, some questions around a new podcast as well, Matthew. You're right with that, helping me doing some coaching with me, essentially.
Yeah, I'll try and help you as best I can. Yeah, no, that'll be really good. I was wanting to ask you a few questions about your new show too, so that's really timely that you're thinking along the same lines. So yeah,
perfect. Let's dig into the data first. I'm interested to hear this. So there was a couple of things that surprised you, wasn't there? Around, there's a bunch of surprises I think in the data, but one particular to talk about today around video versus audio. So yeah, what did you discover?
Yeah, absolutely. So our IndiePod report went out a week ago today, time of recording, and delighted to say it's been really well received, well shared, and it's good. You know, after all that hard work, it's just great to see it out there. And of course, some interesting data did emerge, some surprising data. Again, you know, you always caveat your surveys by saying that this is a sample and it's not perhaps reflective of podcasting in its entirety, but it's still a really good sample size, 550 odd people. So two of the things that jumped out around video and audio podcasts, unsurprisingly, folks that were doing video podcasts tended to spend more money each month, which I don't think will surprise anyone. But on the time taken, both types of podcasts, whether it's video, whether it's audio only, they both really took about the same time, according to respondents, that sort of between like 1 to 5 hour range. But what we did see when you got to 6 hours or more, it was the audio-only podcasts that were spending more time on their shows, which I have my own hypothesis around. But I don't know, like Colin, what was your initial thoughts when you saw that data?
Yeah, I think there's some great stuff in here. I think it's good to know that people are finding ways to do video within that kind of normal time frame. So that's good. Like the people that we talk to, that's the message we all tried to get out, wasn't it, Matthew? That video can work really nicely for you, but you have to either you have to have a team that can spend a lot more time on video, make it a separate project to the audio almost, or it's at least additional work on top of it, or figure out ways to do it simpler. And I think that's a lot of the work that I've been doing as well, is like trying to figure out how to add video elements to our promotion, to our marketing, to the content we put out on whatever it is, to get in front of more people, to get our show in front of more people, but do it in a way that doesn't actually add that much time to the workflow. So it's cool to see that the data shows that people are figuring that out, whether it's the improved tools, whether things are becoming easier to do video on top of audio, or whether it is, people getting more resource to do it. Although that's not the case, isn't it? Because they're spending about the same time as audio in some cases. Yeah. So yeah, what's your hypothesis then about why people that spend more than 6 hours on their podcast, why is it only audio producers that are doing that? Or at least that's the ones that responded to us.
Yeah, so I'll obviously have to paint with broad strokes here and make some general assumptions, which I'm sure the listener will forgive me for. But one caveat I think worth noting as well is that we did have a non-trivial number of audio drama producers respond to this survey. And we need to remember that is a whole different kettle of fish when it comes to production. Yeah. So I guess that might, in fact, it would definitely have bumped up that kind of audio-only high hour time frame for sure. I also think that in audio, we have a more ingrained editing culture than your modern video producer, where I think there's an ethos, and I'm not saying one's right and one's wrong here. I think we could learn a lot from both, but there's a kind of ethos of like quick and just get out there, maybe top and tail something. But apart from that, you're doing no production. Maybe you're just relying on a couple of AI tools to do it for you. And again, totally fine. Whereas in audio, traditionally, I think we've spent a bit more time tweaking and messing around with stuff and playing with stuff and, bringing in music beds and fades and all that and just cutting around the story and stuff. So I think there's a bit of that at play here as well. Does any of that kind of ring true with your thoughts, Colin?
Yeah, I think so, totally. I think there's something around the fact that the video that we see out there, potentially more of the time, the people that are making it they're seeing these videos that are very, almost quite rough, just quite jump cut, just pure jump cuts, just like cut out some of the silence and that's about it. You're not putting too much work into the lighting, the kind of appearance of it. There's people recording podcasts in their cars and just putting that out and actually doing quite well because it's transparent, it's honest, it's open, and it can work. It doesn't work for everyone, but it can work for other people. And so there's this evidence of really lo-fi, quite basic video doing quite well. And then you've got the tools as well, like whether it's Alitu or whether it's Riverside or whether it's Descript or whatever, wherever you record your video as well. A lot of them are adding tools. Like we're adding tools like Riverside. All the tools are adding like little things that make it easier to get a video out very quickly, basically. And so you can just do it like without doing much editing at all. It doesn't add much to your audio workflow in some ways. It does. That's the thing. Like you've got to put that warning out there. The caveat is that it's always going to add a bit more. And that's the trouble. That's the warning I think we've always put out, isn't it, Matthew? That it's not a free lunch. It's definitely adding a bit of work. When I put video out, it takes another hour maybe to, get it downloaded, get it converted, get it uploaded to the places I want to upload it, YouTube, Spotify, whatever it might be. It's not a free lunch, but it's just, there's an appearance out there that video can be rougher because of some of the video channels that have done quite well over time, I think. But with audio, the people that actually do that, the people that dig into it and actually spend more time, they want to sculpt something, don't they? Whether it's an audio drama or whether it's a narrative that there's something beautiful you can do. And maybe it's the fact that, it's very, very difficult for an individual to create a proper good documentary style video. So if you want to create a big documentary style video with loads of stuff in it, there's so much work goes into the visuals as well as just the audio. So it's very, very difficult for an individual to do that. But it is possible for an individual to spend 6-8 hours and create something beautiful, create like a great documentary style, wonderful audio sculpting of, something that you can imagine. So maybe it's just the fact that it's possible with audio for individuals, for indies to do that. But with video, to go to that next level actually is much more tricky and takes a team probably. I don't know, does that ring true?
No, totally agree with everything you're saying. Yeah, and good audio, well produced, well thought out audio is a real USP, especially in a world now where, I could have AI generate me a script and an AI voice will do a brilliant job at presenting it, and you've created a very functional podcast episode. So, maybe folks that have been in audio for a while, especially, are just looking for ways to kind of push the envelope a wee bit and just try and keep ahead of the ahead of the game with it all, make something exceptional that people can't help but share. So
yeah, definitely. And yeah, our audience, there's definitely people in our audience. We've talked to these people many a time who just love the editing process, don't they? They love it's their hobby. They spend 8-10 hours sculpting an audio episode because it's something that they really love to do. It's like creating a painting, somebody doing that as a hobby on the side. So yeah, nothing wrong with that if that's actually where you get your joy.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just produced a short audio drama for the first time in potentially 2 years recently, and I forgot how much I hated dialogue editing, but I forgot how much I loved building the soundscapes, bringing in the music, the ambience, the little sparklings Foley that you put in there as well. That's one of the few things where I've experienced a true flow state. And again, like you're saying, it's a hobby for me at that point. So I could see why folks just really enjoy spending time on it.
What's the difference? What's the difference between, in your enjoyment, I mean, between dialogue editing and sculpting the soundscape? Because they sound like kind of very similar tasks to me.
Yeah, so I'll get say I've got a WAV file through from an actor and I've done 3 takes of each line. It's about finding the right take and then making sure that take marries up with the reply that the other actor gives. And, one take could sound good, but it jars with the other one. And there's just a lot of messing about and building the dialogue. Yeah. But once you've done that, you move on to the kind of fun part, which you've definitely earned by then.
No, that makes sense. I was kind of picturing them both being like creating something that sounds great. Like you're putting both, the goal is the same with both. You're creating something that sounds amazing, like a great audio experience. But yeah, if there's so much more fiddling and listening over and over again to different lines, then that sounds, that sounds pretty boring. Yeah. You said you were you're not working on something like a big video project at the moment as well. Did that give you some experience around this?
Yeah, against my better judgment. So I started I think it was a couple of weekends ago, and I had this harebrained idea. I was like, my daughter's, she's 4 just now, at 4.5 actually, and I've got a big Dropbox folder with like literally every photo and every video we've ever taken or been sent. And I thought to myself, let's do for our grandparents' Christmas, let's do like a little 3-minute compilation of some videos. And as you do, you start thinking like, well, what if I just put like every video we've got in and make this like 45-minute behemoth? So suddenly I'm like just neck deep in like video files. And, the software that I use is Movavi. So it's functional, but it's not designed to accommodate that amount of files. So I've had to find workarounds for that. And there's been so much learning curves around all this. For example, for a long time on my phone, I must have been recording videos and it was set to a certain codec. And again, this is a whole new kind of realm for me, but the codec that was encoding the videos or compressing them or whatever, when I uploaded them to the computer, they weren't recognised unless I bought this like 79 pence like addition to whatever it was to like make it work. And there was that. And then, all sorts of just like, learning about, like to tie this into something else that I'm doing just now. I'm reviewing a really good camera from Nearstream that we got sent. So it's got like a 4K resolution and stuff like that. But again, when I go down the rabbit hole and try and explore all these things, you're seeing that, well, that's fine having a really powerful camera, but how many platforms can actually record video that gets the best from it? And likewise, even if you record this great video, what platforms can you upload it to that's not going to compress it? And so there's all sorts of stuff I'm kind of learning about video. It's almost like learning audio, like from the start again. So it's really opened my eyes to the fact that this stuff it's not straightforward. Like I know there are tools that can make it more straightforward, but there's a lot of wee moving parts to it all, isn't there? That's
the stuff that adds the time. Yeah, that's the stuff that ends up killing you. It's like the stuff that just these little admin jobs. I think there's a couple of things in there. I'd say like a couple of things I've found over the years, the last couple of years certainly, when I've been trying to make it much easier to put out video versions of our shows or create good clips that are actually worthwhile. Like we've found many a time, like we create these clips, like we record Podcraft, we record another show, we create a clip from it, I record the video of me and I create a 60-second clip and it's just not that good. I've talked about the approach of, I actually prefer these days afterwards to just sit down and record a 60-second clip dedicated. It only takes me a few minutes to do, and actually the clip's much better because it's actually suited to social media. But it all kind of ties back into being able to do all that easily it is actually worth investing a bit more in the gear. And we often kind of say, you don't really need to invest too much in the gear, don't we, Matthew? Like, keep it simple. But actually, with the video side of things, if you do actually have a really nice camera, if you put some work into that, you get a good lens for it, you put a couple of decent lights up behind the camera as well, then suddenly the look of it, the natural look of that video is so much better. And then like even a basic 60-second clip has more impact because it looks like it's highly produced, even though you're not putting that much more work into it. So these cameras, absolutely, like I'm using a DSLR. So I have a proper, actually it's not a DSLR technically, it's a mirrorless camera, like a Canon M50 version 2. And that's linked up as my webcam. And so it's just always there, ready to record. And every podcast we do, I record with that camera, good lighting on, all that kind of stuff. And that just saves so much time. But you're spot on. Like so many platforms don't record 4K. And the ones that do, you have to pay a lot more for. And ending up, like nobody watches it at 4K resolution anyway. So you end up creating these huge files and making it so much longer in terms of processing time and all that kind of stuff when actually people are just watching it on their phone walking down the high street.
Yeah, I was
noise
going
yeah, bad signal, noise all around them. Go on, yeah.
Yeah, the file size too. Like I managed to record a 4K video. I think it was like a minute and a half, and it was almost half a gig. And I was thinking, who would have the capacity to do this? So
yeah.
It's,
but that kind of camera. So what I do is I have a camera. So I've got an Insta360 webcam, which is a great little camera. If you want a kind of lower budget upgrade, that's a great one. It does record 4K, I believe, but I only ever use it in 1080p. So 1080p, which is 1920 by 1080, I think, is the resolution. And that's the kind of resolution that actually gives you really good quality, but doesn't go too over the top. Suits most screen sizes. So you camera like that, record at 1080p, or like a mirrorless type camera like the Canon M50 or something similar to that. That's what it does make a difference. That 4K one you're looking at, you'll be able to downscale that. You'll be able to record on that at just 1080p if you want to, and the quality will probably be great because it's designed to record even higher resolution. So I'll report more on that. Like once I get the review out, I'll talk about it a bit more on a future episode. But yeah, really, it's a really cool bit of gear. And I made that, like you've touched on this already, Colin, but I made that kind of point in my draft of my review that, podcasters, even if you're doing audio, you could start out with your built-in mic, but when you start taking it seriously, when you learn the ropes, you want to get yourself a good mic. And there's a case that might be even more important for something like a camera. Maybe not more important, but certainly as important. Because if you think about like an audio-only podcast, you're competing for airtime when people are out their walks or doing dishes or driving or that. But if you're doing something visual and you really want people to watch it, you're competing with Netflix, Hollywood, the Super Bowl, the World Cup, Wimbledon, anything anyone could watch. So you probably have to take it a bit more seriously than just, a couple of talking heads on Zoom. So, yeah, there's a case to be made for upgrading your camera for sure. Yeah. All right. There's a bunch of stuff I want to update on our site actually around video. There's a fair few learnings I've had over the last 6 months, a year, and kind of process of figuring this out, working with a couple of other people to help me do some editing and figure out the process too. So I need to actually update some of our articles and write a better video podcasting one as well. I actually created a couple of new sections in our course in the academy. So our educational space, our educational community, I should say, and added in video podcasting into our launch course as well. So I'm glad that's in there now for people that want to go that route.
I was going to say, I should have kind of added to my point that I was making there as well, that again, we have very good data to suggest that, most podcast consumers on YouTube are actually just listening to. So there is nuance to this. It's not like, whatever you put up on YouTube, it's not like somebody's staring at it intently necessarily. In fact, like I say, most people, they've just got on in the background. So yeah, there is definitely nuance to the point that I made there. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. All right, let's jump on to something else. Let me talk about a tool. So talking about video, I've been experimenting with a few different ways of creating solo type podcasts. And I've seen a lot of other people doing this recently as well, whereby they'll make a solo type podcast a bit more interesting by actually doing something practical at the same time. And this does require video in it. But I think it is possible to make it so that it is consumable audio too. So there's one guy I know who does a podcast around AI tools, for example. I follow along because I'm quite interested in like a lot of the new trends, a lot of the tools that you can use to build apps and stuff like that. So things like Lovable and Cursor and stuff like that. And so I watch his and he demonstrates them all the time. He has an audio version, which he has on Apple Pods and Spotify and the like. And you can listen along and and he does, like, you've often said this rule, like if you're putting out an audio version, like don't refer to anything on screen. And I think some of that is shifting a little bit, as long as you are very clear about the purpose and how you're doing it. What I mean by that is, his is quite clearly, he's always just demonstrating some software, but he's talking through it for half an hour. And he'll have the thing on screen, but he'll be talking a lot about methods, about theory, about how you go about this. And I find it still useful to listen to the half-hour episodes, audio only, knowing that he's showing stuff on a screen and knowing that I can go back and review those sections afterwards. If there's anything that really catches my eye that I think I really need to see that, I'll go back and I'll actually watch it afterwards. I think this is kind of a different method of podcasting in some ways, but I think it's an interesting approach, and I think it's working for some people, and I've been playing around with it and doing some decent work there. The tool that I've been using for it is called Tella, so Tella, and it's just a really easy tool for grabbing screen grabs or photos or video or whatever. You can show anything basically from your computer on these. I've done a few where I've created some slides and just actually had them in the background as I talk through things, almost as a prompt for me, but it makes a more visual, interesting background as well. I've had some where I'm just doing screencasts, like demonstrating a tool, some where I'm talking through a video or a technique or something like that, and I'll show that. So Antella is one that I really like because it has very simple transition editing built in, which I think makes all the difference. So instead of the olden days, Matthew, do you remember the kind of screen grabs where you'd have just like full page of the screen and then there's just a little square of you in the bottom right? Like that's the kind of default screen grab, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's like, it kind of looks quite old fashioned. Well, Tella has all these layouts where you can have you on the left and a circle or a square or a rectangle, and there's a background transition, there's a background like texture, there's like an outline on both screens that just make it really, really polished and professional. And then you can switch between. You can go from that to a full screen of view or a larger screen of view and a small version of the screen. And it does a transition. It does an animation that moves between the two. So it means that you can go through and you can create this edit in just a few minutes, really, that actually starts to look really professional. And so it's these kind of techniques, I think, which take, a really basic video. If you can add a few things through AI tools, through assisted tools like this, that take a basic video and make it look a bit more highly produced, a bit more professional, that's the kind of things I think actually are worth a little bit of extra time. So I just like it. Yeah, it's a great little tool for, Have you come across it at all, Matthew? You seen it before?
Literally yesterday, I think, in my research about where you could record 4K, and I think Tella came up as one of them, if I'm not mistaken. So I thought I recognised it.
They actually, you're right. They do record 4K, but they are what I was talking about before. I think you pay an extra tier, so it's like a higher tier. Yeah.
Will you be in tiers?
I will be in tiers if I record 4K. Yes. Very good. It's. I just wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't do it. It's too big. I don't think it's necessary for that type of video either. I do understand why they have to charge more for it because of the storage. Like we know how much it costs us in Alitu, like running Alitu, storing like gigabytes, terabytes and terabytes of people's podcast recordings and data. Like we know, you can see how much it costs. And as soon as you add in video, you scale that up by like orders of magnitude, never mind bringing in 4K when it goes even higher. So it has to be expensive when you're starting to work with this kind of video.
For sure.
The only thing I'll add to that as well, the slides. I did mention I've been using some slides too. I'm not 100% convinced on the value of these yet. I have been enjoying doing it actually, and I've been using them more for YouTube versions of recordings. So I'll do slides for a solo recording. I'll spend, as long as I can spend less than 5 minutes creating the slides, then I think they're valuable, because basically it ends up, for a solo recording, it ends up becoming my prompt, my notes, but also a nice visual as well. And there's a few tools that I've used. So ChatGPT actually is pretty decent at making slides. It does keep changing the format, so it's hard to make them consistent and get them to all stick together. But it does do them. They do look nice. I tried Copilot in PowerPoint as well. Matthew, back to PowerPoint days. And Copilot is the AI that's built into PowerPoint, and it can actually create decent slides too. So you give it a concept, you give it a script, you give it, like if you write out your script and pop that into it, it can actually create slides from that. They're a bit more basic looking. And then the other one I found was AI carousels. So aicarousels.com. I've been using it for carousels for things like LinkedIn or Instagram in the past, but actually it creates slides too. And they've got some great templates for that. You just put your bullet point outline in and it turns them into slides. So there's a few different ones. The final one that I'll mention as well is called GenSpark. GenSpark's an AI tool, which does all sorts of stuff. I think it grew up around image generation, generative image, but it can create really good slideshows as well. So again, you can do anything from like, here's my topic, just create me some slides and then I can edit them from there. Or you can put in an outline of your own and it'll turn them into slides too. And they look quite nice. So yeah, GenSpark's a great tool for that too.
Cool. Yeah, we'll put links to all those in the show notes, and the listener could check them out.
Nice. Cool. Yeah, I just thought it was worth sharing because it's a kind of different way of doing a podcast episode, I think, that I've been quite enjoying, both consuming and creating. So yeah, something to try out. All right. What we jump to next?
Aye, so I wanted to ask you about your golf show, but I have a very quick moan. It'll only take a minute if you would like to indulge me on this, Colin.
I'll indulge you, a Matthew gripe, yes.
Yeah, so
What's your gripe?
I've been reviewing equipment for years and years, obviously, for the site, and it's always great to get the opportunity to look over new kit, but I'm getting frustrated that in 2025, I'm still getting the odd thing that wants to convey important information to me using LED lights. So like, I'm just horribly colorblind. So the minute I get something and it's like, it's just got a little LED light, and the manual helpfully points out that, when you're muted, this will be red. When you're not, it'll be green. When you're peaking, it'll be this. And it's just like, I can't use this. So like, it is an accessibility issue, and I just wish fewer and fewer companies are putting stuff out that are just purely designed like this now. But it's just frustrating me, and I've actually just, anytime one lands on my desk now, I just get back in touch and say I can't proceed with this because I can't use it, basically. So they always pass it back on to their teams, and hopefully it's an issue that we just don't see in the next year or so, because it's really frustrating.
How did it end up whereby red and green were kind of the most common colours for stuff like that? Considering that, what is it, like 50% of the population? It's like a huge amount of men. It's more men than ladies as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
A huge percentage of people are colourblind.
I know it's again, it's like first world problems, but like, anything you charge in the house, like my daughter's got a couple of wee devices and stuff. Like she's got this white noise machine that she's just always used, and it's one of them. It goes on the charge, it's a red light, and when it's charged, it's green. And I literally have to ask her, and she's quite pleased that she could do something I can't. She's always saying that she'll teach me how to do it. But it's like, on charging, it's particularly common, isn't it? The whole red green thing. Exactly. So fortunately, when I'm driving the car, there's an order to things when the traffic lights hop for one to the next.
Yes. If I turned a traffic light upside down, could you not tell the difference?
I think I'd maybe be fine. They're quite bold and distinctive. It's when you get like smaller, and especially if the two colours are next to each other, it gets a lot more tricky. Right. But yeah, if you make microphones, just please find another way of. LED lights are fine as long as they're accompanied with some sort of visual. Can't just be a light.
Cool. Yep. Well, hopefully people take note. All right. Cool. Good gripe.
Yeah, and onwards to a new podcast. So yeah, I think you've been out there swinging away. Is that right?
Taking some swings, yeah. Yeah, I've not started a new podcast in a while. It's kind of a weird one for me because it's suddenly, I don't know. For many years, I would start a new podcast every 2 months. It's as soon as you get into something, isn't it, Matthew? You end up starting a new podcast around it. But I hadn't done one for quite a while, actually. And it came about through being a guest on somebody else's podcast. I went on a chap called Ross's podcast about golf. He brings people on, interestingly. He talks about how we're all linked, but he uses golf almost as a discussion topic to dig into your life and how it kind of relates to that and how we're all linked by that. So it's a really nice concept for a show, actually. So I was more talking about work and, like our podcasting work and all that kind of stuff, but got a good chat around golf as well. And we just got on quite well. And I was thinking I would love to create some more content around this, actually, because I'm quite enjoying it. And it is something that there's so much to, from the gear to the practice to the game to the courses to loads of different stuff. Kind of takes me back to my days of doing a mountain biking podcast. So yeah, I just thought we had a chat about it, and he was quite keen to start just a more conversational show as well. So that's how it kind of came about. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that angle that you're saying Ross has got. So he's tying in golf with, where you like life? Do you mean like family life, work?
Yeah. It's called Linked by Golf. And so his angle is how does it fit into the rest of your life? How does that link us all? We're all doing different jobs, different work, we have different lives, different other stuff in our world. And how does the sport of this one sport kind of bring it all back to the center, how we're all linked by it? So yeah, I'm probably not communicating it very well there, but that's kind of his principle behind it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So your podcast, for clarity, like you say, like what stage are you at? Have you actually published an episode?
Yeah. So this is where I'm struggling at the moment because I'm completely not doing what we tell other people to do. So here's the honest summary. We had a chat about it where we're like, we'd love to just kind of do a bit more, have an excuse to chat about it, like chat about golf every week. Our initial plan is just to do 8 episodes, to do a series. So this is partly what I would recommend people doing if they're experimenting is, set a goal. We want to get to 8 episodes. We want to test out a few different formats. We want to see how it works for us, how we get on, how much we enjoy it. And just after 8 episodes, we'll review it then. But we've recorded one. So we recorded one last week. And we made a bit of a mistake on that one, I think, in that we put too much into it. We said this should be like a kind of summary of everything that's going on in our golfing lives right now. And it ended up way too big. It ended up like quite unfocused. And it was great fun. I really enjoyed doing it. Like it was a good conversation, but I don't know if it made great content. So, but that's just a learning. That's part of the experiment. It's like next time I think we should pick like 2 or 3 things each, or even maybe just 1 or 2 things each and really dig into that. So that's where we're at the moment. It's just kind of figuring that out. But I think that's one question is around the format and how we make it sustainable long term. But the one I'm struggling with, and maybe you can give me some help on here, is not struggling with, I just haven't actually put that much thought into it yet, is around the uniqueness. There's other golf shows out there. There's plenty of content around that type of stuff. What is our angle? Like, what is it that I can then say to somebody, oh, you're into golf? Well, we do a podcast about it. Here's why you should listen to ours as well as all the others that you listen to,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So it sounds like you've got Ross on board as a co-host then, is that right?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. That ties in nicely with our discussion last week about the co-hosted format too. But yeah, that was one of the first things I wanted to ask was about uniqueness. So obviously you literally wrote our guide on this, like how to make your kind of USP. But I mean, firstly, like if we could start by thinking about it's a golf podcast for X. Who's it not for? Because presumably this isn't for somebody who wants to become like an elite golfer. And I don't mean that to like slate your golfing ability or that, but
Well, yeah, that's an interesting question because I think part of what makes it unique is the fact that we're coming at it from both ends. So Ross is like a one handicap golfer, which for anyone out there that doesn't have a clue about this sport, it's like it works on a handicap system. The lower your handicap, the better you are. And basically the best you get is around, like, most golfers never ever get to single figures, never mind zero, or you go into the pluses as soon as you get better than that as well. But most people, like, you're an elite if you get down to, 0, 1, 2, 3 type of thing. So he's really good. Whereas I am not. I am a 27, which is much more on the top end of the scale. So we're coming at it from both ends. And the kind of principle is that we'll try and bring both of those perspectives to it. That's one of my ideas around Angle, is the fact that a lot of the podcasts out there, or a lot of the golf content out there, is just around the pros. It's by people that are either professionals, they're teachers, they're in the industry. So they're by definition very good. And there's actually, I haven't found that much that comes at it from a much more average guy perspective. And so there's something around that I could just do that. So I could bring the average guy perspective, but actually having somebody who's also quite good, but also I think Ross is really good in that he's quite self-effacing. Even though he's a one handicapper, he still says he's rubbish, which is kind of a classic golf thing to do. Is you're never as good as you want to be. So yeah, something around those, like, does that kind of, does that sound like a starting of an angle?
I think so. I mean, I still have a couple of angles to dig into. So, I mean, we've talked in the past about the classic kind of learning journey podcast, which, would be ideal for somebody who's listening along that's at the same stage as you. And they've got Ross there, not only, giving you a few tips and helping you along, but helping them too. So there is that angle. And that's assuming you want to keep it, for lack of a better term, on the fairway, because if we venture off the golf course, and I don't know how much overlap this would have with Ross's existing podcast, but you can start to draw, maybe it's like a golf show, but it's for busy creatives or founders or something, and that's when you start to use golf as an almost metaphor, as like you're tying it into lessons that you're learning off the golf course as well, but what you're doing on the golf course, that beginner's mindset and everything is really helping you to do stuff, in business or creativity or whatever. So there's that kind of angle too. It just depends. Like I say, are you keeping this totally about golf, or are you widening the net a wee bit? Yeah,
I think we're going to go all in on it's just purely about the sport. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, no other angles. That's kind of Ross's thing, is his show's about that. So yeah, we're going to get this is a better excuse to actually just dig into the total nerdy side of. I think part of the thing that I love about it is that whenever I get into something, I always think of this as like the definition of being a geek, is that when you get into something, you can't help but fall like fully into it, and you end up reading everything, watching everything, and you learn way too much about it over time. So like in the last year or two, as I've been getting back into the sport, I've been buying all the books and listening to all the podcasts and watching all the videos, and I've already, and this is one of my kind of skills in life as well, is that I'm a good learner. I know how to learn, and I know how to organize my learning and how to organize practice, and whatever I get into, that's kind of how I see it. So I think even though I'm not very good at the sport yet, I've already put together some decent like practice routines, and I've done research around the gear that actually suits me and my level and all. Like I really dig into the technical side of it all. So that's kind of a big part of what I want to bring to it as well, is kind of helping people to decipher a lot of that stuff.
How typical is your like age bracket? And I know you played golf when you were young, as far as I could remember. Like I think you dabbled a wee bit. But if you think about how or when people get into golf, it tends to, in my experience, it's like either as a kid or it's something you take up when you retire. And you sitting in that like your 40s, is that fairly typical, would you say?
I think I've met more people than I expected, actually, in the last year or so, who have got into it in their middle age, essentially, in their 40s, even late 30s. It seems to be something that even people that have never done it before, they kind of come to because they meet folk through their work, friends, whatever, that are into it. That's kind of a gateway. But then you reach a stage in life, whether it's through just kind of having had family, and then the kids are grown up and you've got a bit more time, or you just want something to keep you active, because as you age, you get more aware of your, impending death. So like something simple to be able to just go out and have a walk of an evening, that kind of thing. I think it actually is more common than I expected, is people getting into it around my kind of age because of all those reasons, I think. And folk realizing that they need something to do of an evening or a weekend that's not just going to the pub or whatever, which is like terrible, like British culture. Like that's our hobby, you know? So I think that's what I've, certainly seen. Anyone in your kind of circle in that kind of space, or like, do you not recognize that at all?
None of my pals are playing golf as far as I know at the moment. Certainly not myself, having had half my working life on a golf course. But no, I think that might give you that kind of target audience. Maybe it's not. Maybe you'll get a few over 65s listening. Maybe you'll get a few teenagers listening. But in the main, it's probably going to be people that are in the same kind of age range as you, going through the same experience. You know, your kids are grown up slightly now, and with your job and stuff. So yeah, maybe there's something around that kind of area, isn't there?
That's my feeling. Yeah, it's people that are, you know, mid to beginner level. We're probably not going to be attracting too many of the like top tier, like really good players, but anyone that's like 10, 15 handicap or lower and getting into it again, wants to improve, just wants to hear a couple of people chatting about different techniques and ideas and gear and stuff like that, for sure. Yeah. So someone around that targeting. Yeah. We could go, we could like narrow it right down and say it's like the midlife golfer podcast. The beginner midlife golfer podcast. Like we could go that narrow where it's, are you 40 something, getting into the sport, then here's your guide to it. Follow along as we do. As Colin does the same, and Ross shares his experience of maintaining skill as a middle-aged golfer.
yeah, and I think there's, again, like you maybe want to keep it purely about the act of golfing, but I imagine there's a lot of stuff around there around like, you know, the mindset of when do you decide to put your name down for your very first competition, or like, you know, when you join a club, like what's kind of the first steps? You might not know anyone, you know, what's the etiquette? Like there's all sorts of maybe angles there as well. I don't know. I mean, I'm just kind of thinking aloud, but there's definitely creative opportunities there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think there's a lot we can try. I like this is the one part I'm kind of following. Like I haven't followed our path framework is the one that we usually use for helping people start up. So I've got kind of a purpose. Like the purpose is literally just to get an excuse to talk about it once a week and hopefully grow a bit of a community around it. So there's our purposes. Audience, we've just talked a little bit about. Topic really is the kind of the gear, the techniques, like getting nerdy about the different aspects of how you get better at it. And in Hallmark, that's what we're talking about. The uniqueness is like, I think it's something around that two-sided perspective to bring it in. But yeah, so I haven't necessarily done all of that, but the part I have is the seasons. Like I'm looking forward to that, kind of just treating it as, I think even, did we say 6 actually? I think I said or 8 earlier, but I think I actually said 6 initially. So 6 episodes at a time. Like we're going to do 6 episodes. That's only 6 weeks. It's a small project, really. And we'll see where we are after that. We've not committed to anything beyond that. And we'll just we'll make sure that we skip a week of recording and actually just meet up and have a chat about like what's been working, what's not, what could we do differently? Is there a completely different tack we could take for the next ones? Or do we actually just want to continue with this and refine it a bit more? I don't know.
You got a name yet?
About it, yeah, we're playing with that just now. So Ross was quite keen on Full Send, as in spelt FOOL, Full Send, because it's quite a common term in golf. And it kind of ties into, I think we want it to be quite self-effacing and quite kind of all the mishaps and the nonsense that we get up to and all the mistakes you make and all that kind of stuff. So there's something around that. And then we've got like things like, but I think it's not quite, well, what do you think of that? I don't think it's quite explanatory enough.
I wouldn't have got it. And again, I'm not a complete stranger to golf, but I wouldn't have got that. Totally. No. Yeah, no, I don't think there's any way that's linked. So we're looking at others that are much more linked. So something like, what was it? Pars apart was something, because it's like pars obviously alludes to golf. Anyone that sees that's into golf will recognize it. And it's something around the fact that we're both aiming for pars, but we're kind of coming at it from the different sides of it. So we're apart in our approach from it. Or
what was it? Pars from both sides, something like that. Like something around the fact that we both have the same goal. Your goal is always to kind of at least make par on every hole in golf. But he's coming at it from the point of view that he's actually aiming for a birdie, and if he gets a par, it's fine. And I'm coming at it from the point of view that if I don't make a 10, then I'm doing quite well. But I'm aiming for that par. So there's something around that I think there's a message in it. So yeah, we haven't finalised it yet, but something related to that, I think.
Yeah, get a pun in there about the rough to the smooth or something. Yeah.
We had a couple, yeah, exactly. We had a couple in there, like first cut, someone like that I quite liked. But even that's a bit too obscure. I don't think it's quite obvious enough for folk.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, not yet, but I can update on that next time round. But I'll put a link in though, and I'll have this published by the time this show comes out. So if by any chance anyone out there is listening that's interested in this topic, then check the description of the podcast here, this episode, and you'll see a link to the show.
Yeah, it'd be really good to follow along with this, and I don't know how open you want to be, presumably as open as you can, because it'd be even good to hear about things like downloads and that, and just show that these things, they take time. And when you put a new podcast out there, as I remember with my tabletop show, like I think my first episode, it was like 6 downloads, and I was chuffed with that. So it's like, I think it's good to go back to the start on these projects now and then and just get into the situation that many people that are listening right now are in with their first show.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah, well, that's why, totally. I want to share as much as I can about it, because it's been, like I say, it's been a while since I started a new one, and I've kind of forgotten. It's so easy to forget some of the really common struggles you go through. Like we've built workflows and we've built frameworks for just about everything to help people, because we work with people, we help people to start podcasts. So we have these frameworks that hopefully simplify it for folk. But actually going through them all again is always quite interesting. So anyway, if you're out there listening, I hope that was useful to kind of hear about the kind of genesis story around it, the general struggles around, the thoughts around starting up a new show. And I'll definitely share more over the coming weeks around all the other things we're thinking about. I'm thinking at the moment about whether we can bring video into it early, for example, that question earlier on around how to make that sustainable and how to make it possible to do without adding too much work. So that might be something to talk about in the near future too. But yeah, cool. Thanks for the coaching, Matthew.
The bill's in the post. So, Colin, you said rightly so at the beginning that Black Friday and Cyber Monday and all that coming up, time of recording, we don't want to endorse spending for spending's sake, but it is getting to that time of year where I think, if you've got anything on your wish list, you're kind of just sitting tight waiting to see if there are any opportunities to save some money. So anything on your radar at the moment?
I don't need anything right now. The only thing I'd be looking at is even a new set of lights or anything like that. I think I can improve the lighting in my studio here a little bit, but I haven't spotted any Black Friday deals for them yet. But the couple of things on the list that stand out to me, like I do love my Bose Quiet Comfort headphones. They always seem to be on discount on Black Friday. You've got that in your Black Friday deals article here, don't you?
Yeah, that's right. You can't go wrong with the Bose stuff. So that's a wee pair of earbuds, 17% off at the moment. So worth keeping an eye on.
Oh, is that the earbuds actually?
Yeah.
I actually thought they were the big ones. I've got the big over-ear ones and I have had for years. Use them all the time. They're just so good. But I've not tried the earbuds. I have to actually check this out.
Yeah, I mean, again, time of recording, it's early days on the gear stuff, like especially if you're looking at Amazon. Not a lot happening there just yet, but I've seen the Shure SM7B, there's 20% off that, and the MV7 Plus, 15% off that. So again, we've got a full guide to this. It's thepodcasthost.com/Black Friday. I'm going to be keeping that up to date for the next few weeks. Some software deals already in there. ConvertKit, which we use for Podcraft pointers, you could get 60% off there just now. So if you're thinking of starting a
first 3
email
months.
list.
Yeah, the software ones tend to come out earlier, don't they? They tend to start like a couple of weeks before Black Friday, and then on actual like Black Friday week and Cyber Monday day and all that kind of stuff, you get Amazon doing all their big discounts. Yeah, you're right. Kit, definitely if you're thinking about email marketing, that's what we use for all of our stuff. You get 60% off the first 3 months, I think, plus a 2K trial. Opus Clip as well. Opus Clip is one that I've been playing with a lot for making clips from video. I do like it. It does actually create good ones sometimes, but it does still take a fair bit of work to curate and do a bit of editing. But yeah, definitely one of the better ones of those. What's the Waves audio plugins, Matthew?
Yeah, so Waves, they make really good audio plugins, funnily enough, and they're doing a bit of a deal. I think it's $50 off 240 odd plugins, and they're giving away a limited number of. They've released a new free plugin as well, so you could sign up and put your name down for that. So yeah, that's in the roundup as well. We've got some hosting deals in there via rss.com, Captivate and Transistor as well. So this roundup will only get bigger. I'm hoping to see. I'd reviewed recently. So I reviewed in the past a kid's screen-free audio player called the Yoto Player, and there's a new one on the market called the Seed Player, which I was really impressed with. So interested to see if they're doing any Black Friday deals as well. Because if you've got kids and you're into them listening to audio stories and that, and as podcasters, you could create your own stuff and put them on there. So that's a really cool little bit of gear, the Seed Pace player. I'll stick the link in the show notes to my review.
Nice. Cool. Okay. Yeah, and that'll expand out. We'll keep that updated over the next week or two as it all creeps up. There'll be more and more things coming, no doubt. There's always loads of gear, isn't there? So if you are on the lookout for a microphone, audio interface, headphones, lighting, cameras, all that kind of stuff, then do keep an eye on that link and you'll see everything relevant to podcasters. Alrighty, well that does for the week, Matthew.
I do believe so. Yeah, we've covered quite a lot of ground there.
Great stuff. Yep. And no Black Friday deal because we just don't do that anymore. But please do check out Alitu if you want to support this podcast and all the work we do. That's our podcast maker app. We can give you a Podcraft exclusive discount though. It is just called Podcraft. If you type in Podcraft on the coupon code. In the coupon code on the checkout, you'll get, I think it's 50% off the first month. So it gets you half off that first month. And that's always running for podcast listeners. So yeah, go over to alitu.com. That's alitu.com. If you want to find the easiest way to edit your podcast, it makes editing so much quicker and easier in all sorts of ways, from building your entire episode, music and transitions, right down to editing out mistakes. Got automated ums and ahs removal, and all sorts of ways for you to speed up how you take those mistakes out of your podcast, or at least curate it. All right, go over to alitu.com, that's alitu.com, and check it out. All right, Matthew, thank you for another week of podcasting. We shall join again next week, I guess.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. Enjoyable as always. I like the new format, and we got a couple of nice comments about it last week, so thank you for that. And it's definitely made it a lot more enjoyable to record and hopefully to listen to as well.
Yeah, indeed. All right, thank you out there for listening. We'll talk to you next week.